Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Right now, the Miami Dolphins are in a state of disarray that is impossible to ignore. To put it bluntly, the franchise looks like it's spiraling, and it's not just fans or outsiders noticing. It's beginning to feel like the internal structure itself is struggling to hold everything together. The offseason was supposed to be a time for reflection, regrouping, and responsible planning. Instead, it has become a showcase of questionable decisions, troubling headlines, and a clear lack of cohesive direction. The Dolphins, a team that had once sparked hope with explosive playmakers and an innovative offensive identity, are now surrounded by doubt and speculation. The first major flashpoint was the situation involving Tyreek Hill, one of the league's most electric talents. Hill had already turned heads with his game-breaking speed and production. But this offseason, the narrative shifted dramatically, from highlight reels to headlines for all the wrong reasons. His season ended on a sour note, with frustrations boiling over in a way that sent ripples throughout the locker room. Then came the more recent incident that placed him back into the media spotlight. This time with a controversy that has raised serious questions about leadership and accountability inside the Dolphins facility. And just as the fan base was coming to terms with that mess, news emerged that was even more baffling. Miami had reportedly explored the idea of trading away Jalen Ramsey. That's right, Jalen Ramsey, one of the league's most talented and competitive cornerbacks, a defensive leader, and a cornerstone of the Dolphins secondary. No official explanation was given, no clear justification. And that silence, it spoke volumes. It hinted at internal conflicts, at misalignment between the front office and coaching staff, and perhaps even a complete rethinking of the team's direction. But what has perhaps frustrated Dolphins fans the most hasn't been a single scandal or trade rumor. It's the lack of clear progress. Free agency, which was once viewed as a vital opportunity to plug holes and build momentum, came and went with little fanfare. Instead of big splashes, Miami settled for modest moves. Calais Campbell, still an impactful veteran on the defensive front, chose to walk, and the players brought in since then have mostly been low-risk signings with limited upside. These weren't the kinds of transactions that screamed urgency or ambition. They felt more like placeholders. More like a team simply treading water rather than aggressively chasing improvement, and the roster still reflects that stagnation. Entering the 2025 NFL Draft, the Dolphins have multiple glaring needs across their depth chart. Not just for depth pieces or rotational players, starters. At least 2 cornerbacks are needed who can line up and contribute immediately. A safety spot remains unclaimed, with no clear replacement on the roster. On the defensive line, there's a gaping hole at tackle that has yet to be addressed. Offensively, the guard position continues to be a weak point, leaving Tua Tagovailoa should. He remained the starter, vulnerable behind a line that struggled to maintain consistency. And on top of all that, the depth in both the secondary and defensive front is nowhere near the level it needs to be if this team expects to survive a full NFL season. In this context, the upcoming NFL draft becomes more than just a chance to build for the future. It becomes a lifeline for the Dolphins. They currently hold 10 picks, which on paper sounds promising, but a closer look reveals a more sobering reality. Only 3 of those selections come within the first 3 rounds, and the final one of that group is a compensatory pick, number 98 overall. Their most valuable assets in the draft come at 13th overall in the first round and the 48th pick in the second. After that, the drop-off in draft capital is steep. That puts tremendous pressure on general manager Chris Grier and head coach Mike McDaniel to make those early picks count. Given this precarious situation, the most logical course of action for Miami might be to trade down in the first round. It's a move that carries some risk, yes, but one that could offer significant rewards if executed correctly. By moving down a few spots, especially if a quarterback-hungry team comes calling, the Dolphins could pick up an additional second or a 3rd-round selection, which would greatly enhance their ability to fill multiple starting roles with quality prospects. Why is this so crucial? Because outside of those first 3 rounds, the odds of landing immediate impact starters drop significantly. That's not to say it's impossible, but banking on late-round magic isn't a sustainable strategy, especially for a team that's clearly not one or two pieces away from contending. This isn't a franchise in search of a final push. This is a franchise trying to rebuild key foundational elements just to stay afloat in an increasingly competitive AFC. There's also positional value to consider. Even with a slight trade down, Miami could still find itself in a position to draft talented players who fill major needs. In fact, the 13th overall pick is prime real estate. It sits just beyond the cluster of teams expected to target quarterbacks early. The Saints, for instance, pick at number 9 and may be the last obvious quarterback-needy team before Miami is on the clock. If, say, Jackson Dart or Shedeur Sanders unexpectedly fall toward the middle of the round, a team like the Steelers sitting at 21 could get aggressive and offer a package to move up. This kind of scenario would benefit Miami tremendously. They could slide back a handful of spots, stay within range of top-tier talent, and grab an extra day 2 pick in the process. Names like Tetairoa McMillan or Ashton Jeanty could still be on the board, depending on how things shake out. While neither may be a surefire star, both offer intriguing upside and would address areas of weakness. Most importantly, Miami wouldn't be forced to reach. They gain leverage, something they currently lack, and make no mistake, this draft is pivotal for everyone involved. Chris Grier, who has managed to survive various cycles of roster turnover, coaching changes, and media scrutiny, is now in the hot seat in a way he's never been before. The clock is ticking. The margin for error is razor thin. The same can be said for Mike McDaniel. His creative offensive mind brought a breath of fresh air when he first arrived. But creativity only goes so far when the foundation is crumbling. He needs results, and he needs them now. Even team owner Stephen Ross has made it clear. Status quo won't cut it anymore. The patience is wearing thin, and if this regime cannot find a way to field a more competitive roster in 2025, sweeping changes may not be far behind. That is the pressure this front office is facing. That is the weight this draft carries. So what do the Dolphins do? They have to get better fast. They have to find players who won't just develop into contributors 2 or 3 years down the line, but guys who can line up this fall, play significant snaps, and hold their own. They need cornerbacks who can keep up with the likes of Stephon Diggs, Garrett Wilson, and Jamar Chase. They need linemen who can keep Tua upright for more than 2 seconds. They need defensive linemen who can stop the run and generate pressure up the middle. And they need safeties who won't get burned in crunch time. That's a long list. And 10 picks, when used wisely, can make a dent. But only if Miami has the courage to be strategic, to take calculated risks, and to abandon the illusion that they're a team on the cusp of contention. They're not. Not right now. This draft is about survival. It's about resetting the direction of a franchise that has lost its grip on identity and discipline. Trading back from 13 might not be a flashy move. It might not dominate headlines in a way a bold pick would. But it could be the move that gives Miami a fighting chance to salvage this season. And maybe even this era of Dolphins football. Because if this draft doesn't deliver, it won't just be another disappointing year. It could be the end of the line for several key figures in the building, and the Miami Dolphins cannot afford to get this one wrong. Still with us? Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? J.J. McCarthy's arrival in Miami has ignited a wave of anticipation, excitement, and of course, sky-high expectations. In a city known for its sun-soaked beaches and electrifying nightlife, it's not every day that a quarterback with this level of hype walks through the doors of Hard Rock Stadium. The Dolphins, a franchise long searching for stability under center, have made it abundantly clear that McCarthy isn't just another prospect. They believe he's the guy. And that belief comes with enormous pressure. The fans know it, the front office knows it, and more importantly, McCarthy himself knows it too. Coming off a stellar college career at Michigan, where he led the Wolverines to a national championship, McCarthy arrives in the NFL with the kind of winning pedigree that front offices drool over. His leadership, poise under pressure, and ability to thrive in big moments turned heads throughout the college football world. But the NFL is a different beast, and Miami's been here before, heralding quarterbacks as saviors only to watch them falter under the weight of unrealistic demands. From Ryan Tannehill to Tua Tagovailoa, the search for a true franchise quarterback has been a turbulent one. And while Tua had his moments and gave Dolphins fans glimpses of brilliance, the team's decision to bring in McCarthy speaks volumes about where they believe the ceiling lies. The Dolphins didn't just draft McCarthy to sit and learn. No, the tone coming out of the building is clear. He's here to compete from day one. Head coach Mike McDaniel, known for his creative offensive mind and quarterback-friendly schemes, will now have the opportunity to mold a young, talented signal caller from the ground up. It's a pairing that intrigues analysts and fans alike. McCarthy's quick release, mobility, and football IQ seem tailor-made for McDaniel's system. And there's real optimism that this duo could become something special. But let's not sugarcoat it. The pressure cooker is already on. Miami is not a rebuilding team. They have talent across the roster. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, and a solid offensive line that's improved each season. Defensively, they're physical, aggressive, and capable of making game-changing plays. This is not a team drafting a quarterback to simply give fans hope for the future. The future is now. And with that, McCarthy steps into a scenario where winning isn't a wish, it's a mandate. What makes this story even more fascinating is McCarthy's personality. He's calm, collected, and mature beyond his years. Teammates from Michigan rave about his leadership and his ability to command a locker room. He's not flashy or arrogant, but he's confident. And that quiet confidence could be exactly what this Dolphins locker room needs. Already, players have spoken highly of his work ethic in early off-season sessions. He's showing up early, staying late, and diving headfirst into the playbook. There's no entitlement, no assumption that the job is his by default, just a fierce desire to earn it. The fan base, naturally, is buzzing. Miami hasn't seen this level of optimism around a young quarterback in decades. Social media is lit up with highlights, breakdowns, and predictions. Can McCarthy be the one to take the Dolphins deep into January football? Can he be the face of the franchise for the next decade? It's still early, but the hunger for success and the belief that this kid can deliver is palpable. Local sports radio is flooded with callers analyzing every throw from minicamp. Season ticket interest is climbing. There's a feeling in the air that something big is brewing. Still, the road ahead won't be easy. The AFC is loaded with quarterback talent. Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Justin Herbert all reside in the same conference. McCarthy won't be given a gentle ramp-up. He'll be measured against the best, and he'll be expected to keep pace. That's a tall task for any rookie, let alone one joining a team with playoff aspirations right out of the gate. But here's the twist. McCarthy isn't fazed. He's been doubted before. He's heard the critiques about being more of a game manager than a gunslinger, about playing in a run-heavy Michigan system. And he's ready to change that narrative. There's something undeniably magnetic about a quarterback with a chip on his shoulder. And J.J. McCarthy has that chip. He carries himself with the calm intensity of someone who knows exactly what's at stake. He understands the history of this franchise, the weight of the Marino comparisons that inevitably follow any new Dolphins quarterback, and he's not backing down from any of it. He's embracing the pressure, leaning into the challenge, and treating this opportunity not as a burden, but as a privilege. Behind the scenes, the Dolphins are doing everything they can to set him up for success. The coaching staff is tailoring the offense to suit his strengths, simplifying terminology where needed, and surrounding him with voices that will accelerate his growth. The front office is making it clear that this is a long-term investment. They're not just betting on his arm, they're betting on his mind, his heart, and his resilience. The locker room, for its part, seems ready to rally behind him. Veterans like Hill and Waddle have spoken glowingly about McCarthy's energy and presence. And while no one's crowning him the starter just yet, competition will be part of the process. It's evident that McCarthy is winning over people. Fast. He's doing it the right way, brick by brick, without skipping steps. In many ways, this feels like a turning point for the Dolphins organization. After years of swirling uncertainty, of flirting with potential but never quite seizing it, there's a new vibe in South Florida. And it centers around a 21-year-old kid with a championship ring, a steady hand, and an unshakable belief that he belongs. JJ McCarthy isn't just here to play quarterback, he's here to rewrite the Dolphins' story. Only time will tell how successful this chapter becomes, but for now, the energy is real. The dream is alive, and if McCarthy can live up to even a fraction of the expectations being placed on his shoulders, the Dolphins might finally have found what they've been searching for all these years: a true leader, a face of the franchise, and a quarterback who can bring glory back to Miami. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!